self-aware.
Yeah.
I love a self-aware rookie. He can have fun. He can bring joy. Late hands, all of those things. I'll give him an A+ for his first day.
Look at that. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Mike Catalana and Dan Fates with you. We are at the Bills rookie mini camp.
Yep.
You're becoming a veteran of the rookie camps.
Yeah, I have now done a dad and
Right.
son duo. I've covered
Look at that, the Gores.
the Gores.
Yes.
The Frank Gores.
Yes, isn't that something? A father and a son both playing for the Bills.
And you thought you were old covering this team.
No kidding. I don't know if I'll be, did I cover Frank Sr.'s father in the NFL? I don't know if that was the case. We're going to talk a lot about what we saw today and the people that a lot of you want to know about. Here's what it is up here. We come up to camp. They practice outside. Let's be honest. It is it's a get to know each other sort of setting for the coaches. They got all these guys.
Yeah.
I got the list of players here. It's players who are drafted. It is the signed free agents.
Yep.
And then there's the guys here just trying out for the team, which is kind of cool. You know what everybody wants to hear about?
Yeah.
Want to hear about KEON.
Number 0.
Number 0 out there on the field. General impressions is what I think you would hope to see. Just a smooth athlete.
Yep.
Tell them about the observation you had about him catching.
I'm going to try and sound like I know what I'm talking about at a high level here of football education. When he catches the ball, his hands are very late, and that's a good thing. It's something that you hear Dan Orlovsky, former wide receivers in the NFL, talk about. It's a big trait because it doesn't allow corners to adjust. You're catching them kind of off guard. But when he runs through the ball and when he runs back to the quarterback and he's catching passes, his hands are very low, and then all of a sudden they're up and he catches it.
Yeah.
It's not like he's sitting there waiting going, I'm going to catch the ball, because defenders then can read that and they play through you. So as a former, or as any former defensive back would say, like, to have late hands, it's a nice touch. It's also a confidence that I can bring my hands up late because I trust my hands that they're going to make the catch. So it's something that really stood out to me.
Now, listen, we've seen some spectacular things he's done on the college field. And at some point, we'll see what it's like for him. His quarterbacks today are Jacob Eason and Gunnar Watson.
Yes.
Were the two quarterbacks. So he'll have Josh Allen. But I will say that he does look to be a player who has focused on fundamentals.
Yes.
At least that's the way he looks to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who are good on the fundamentals, and they don't have the other gear. So all that being said, he's an impressive kid. And then he came and sat and talked to us.
Yeah, and the other thing that really stood out to me was he was glued at the hip with the wide receivers coach, and he spent a lot of time also just walking around with Joe Brady.
Right.
It was a lot of detail. It was a lot of mental reps because, again, there's two quarterbacks. It's almost like a camp as much as it is a practice is kind of what it feels like. But just to see the amount of attention to little details. You talk about fundamentals. It's hand position. It was all those things that they went through because he's not going to be out here catching 50 passes today. Like it was him going through the little tiny minutia of the reps, the fundamentals. I thought that stood out to me.
Yeah, he came and sat down, talked to us. His news conferences, we'll get to that part in a minute. You know, his news conference caught a lot of attention between the jackets and the cookie and all that stuff. But today was more about what he's dealing with here. And I asked him about the playbook, and it's interesting the way he talked about the playbook. Listen, it's an adjustment. I don't care. He said it was more like his Michigan State playbook than his Florida State playbook, because I think this was the Florida State playbook.
Run down the field, we'll throw it to you.
Yeah.
I said it before. He didn't run routes at Florida State.
But I think I found the most interesting thing is him talking about his process of learning and learning the terminology being the most important thing. Look, he's going to have to be a quick learner.
Yep.
They're going to expect to see him know that offense when the vets get here, and certainly by the time we get to training camp. But he talked about his process of going through the plays and looking at the video version of the plays and how he's worked on that in order to help him to learn. Because this is not memorize 10 plays and go.
Yeah.
This is all about concepts and terminology. There's a lot of rudimentary things you need to know, and then you take that to the next step and knowing the plays. I thought for a 20-year-old guy just walking into the league, I thought that was a pretty mature answer.
So with the film, like with the actual plays, with the lines and stuff, it's plays, live footage behind it on your tablet. I like to draw it out, take the notes, draw it out, and then continue to do it on whiteboards and then quiz myself. That's probably my favorite way to do it.
How long have you done it that way? Like, was that all throughout college, or is that newer?
Not always. You know, my freshman year was a little different. It took a while to kind of understand how to learn them. So once I got that, maybe midway through the season, that's kind of what I did.
Yeah, he sounded like a guy that has been through it and was asked if it was easy or not, and he said yes and no. Like some things, he said these are traits that he's had to learn since Michigan State, his freshman year. And again, I think it's all. Everybody may be good at school up until a certain point, and then all of a sudden you get to a class and you go, oh, I can't just squeak by. And then all of a sudden putting all that time in, because I also liked how he talked about you can have your routes, but the defense is going to dictate what you do. It's the leverage. It's, again, all of those little tiny things that we talk about that people try and watch all 22 and try and tell you what they were and weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, he knows the eyes are going to be on him too, but I found him at least today. Now, again, it's a news conference. I found him to be very composed, I'll say professional, polite.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking to make more headlines. Made a lot of headlines over the last few weeks.
I agree, and we talked about that on the pod, just saying like, oh, like he's made all these things, and I think that was just him, not necessarily unhinged, but like that was pure 100% KEON Coleman. And then all of a sudden he talks about, okay, now I got to keep the main thing. Like all that stuff was fun and the coats, but he goes, my play is what people are going to remember, not a jacket. I thought that amount of perspective as a young age.
Self-awareness.
It
is a huge trait in people, and not people don't have it at 60, let alone 20. And I think at least if he's got that. Had a little bit of fun with it. Honestly, listen, like you said, this is not exactly the first day of training camp, but I think he approached it appeared to approach it in the right way.
I thought it was, again, got me excited again. There is that childhoodish joy to it. He went and had to go to the bathroom, and then he came back on the field, and he was walking past the punter and the kicker that were also here, and he hit him with a little look down here and got him up, and he just kept jogging off. Like it wasn't like he was doing this big theatrical thing. It was just hey, I'm having fun here. Like he talked about getting to be with the guys, and they're all staying in the hotel, and they got roommates and all these things. Like there is that joy and that breath of fresh air that I think a lot of people want to see again in this building.
Yeah, and I asked him about reaching out to Andre Reed.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting because, listen, Andre's my age. Andre was here, obviously, got the gold jacket at the Super Bowl. And he even joked, Andre responded to me on Twitter when I mentioned it, that not that many Bills receivers have reached out to him. And look, he's not training with Andre Reed. He's not doing it. But listen to what he said when I asked him about how it happened and what it was like reaching out to the Bills Hall of Famer.
It came about I was taught to always respect those that step before you. So the path that he paved here and the legacy he left here, Hall of Famer. So I just felt out it was a respect thing to reach out and just ask him for whatever advice he can give me, and just to be able to keep that as a mentorship from him. And I felt that'd be a great resource. You always want to use the resources provided to you. So, and more so just showing my respect that, I respect everything that he's done, and looking forward to, competing as a Bill.
Listen, I think that's a smart thing to do. I remember being here. It was a little different when Jim Kelly was here, walking off the field with Josh Allen. Like, there is a connection. Andre Reed does not have that with the franchise like Jim Kelly does.
Correct.
And Jim's here, and it's the quarterback. But I think, he's like, hey, come on, it doesn't take that much. Like, they had success here. Like, this guy was a great player. And I think just to show, and like he said, it was partially to learn some stuff, partially to show respect. I think that's a good way to get started.
Self-aware.
Yeah.
I love a self-aware rookie. He can have fun. He can bring joy. Late hands, all of those things. I'll give him an A+ for his first day.
Look at that.
There you go.
It's day one. So it's good. If it wasn't an A+, then we'd have something to talk about.
Xavier Worthy dropped a pass. Bills fans loved it.
I heard about it. He's done.
Bills fans loved it.
He's done. Ray Davis is a bowling ball.
So you know how people say you could have a type?
Yeah.
So the Bills have
Bills have a type.
at running back.
Yeah, they do.
They have a type of what
Devin
they're trying
Singletary.
They are.
Yeah.
They're short, stocky. And
Yeah. He is that guy. Listen, he's out there. You know, they got him in. You know, running a lot of. You know, today you're not running between the tackles, folks.
Yeah.
This is like you said. It's more of camp. But these are just overall, just very general. And we knew he was 5'8", 360 pounds. I mean, he's jacked. Like
Low center of gravity.
Yes, is what he has. And we talked about it already a little bit. Frank Gore Jr. wearing the old man's number out here.
It's really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Again, to wear the number, and again, that was Brian Dable early on, like the team kind of turning into something special. So kind of cool to see that. I think he has a little bit of pop. I think he has some flash, but again, he's also 5'6" and a quarter, and also can run, tough downhill.
Yeah, staying with the offense a little bit, I just wanted to see what Travis Clayton looked like.
Mountain.
He's a giant.
Giant.
And
I want to see him next to Spencer Brown.
I know. That'd be something. The whole, idea of the training, I was watching him, spent obviously a lot of time. Aaron Cromer spent a lot of time with him. He was sort of lining up like off of the line and mimicking what he's seeing out there. Listen, this is day one out there on the field. You know what's really amazing, is the idea of a player getting used to putting on a helmet. Which is kind of wild, isn't it? Like
that was what Christian Wade had to talk about.
Yeah, he made that whole point about it. It's wild, like putting on a helmet. Like you got to get used to that. And players, even the guys who wear them and have worn them for years, it's a pain to do it.
Yeah.
Now, they was out here differently. But I was watching him, and listen, you know what he's going to be working on. He's going to be working on footwork for a tackle. It's what he is. But, again, we don't see him in full-on mode, but it was good to see him on the field. And as we talked about the other guys, this dude ain't 5'8".
No.
I mean, he is a giant of a man.
Yeah, he's
that's
every
out there
bit of
playing.
6'8".
Yeah. And I wanted to mention one other thing, Dan. We mentioned that these are the rookies, the draft picks.
Yep.
Listen, they even, they highlight them differently on the sheet. You got the players, and then you have the guys in red who are trying out for the team.
Yes.
Which is kind of wild because, listen, they have nothing. They have no guarantees. They're just here.
Yeah.
So I saw this guy, Danny Johnson, defensive back, and I watched him go right up to the line, trying to get some extra reps. It's Hardy, the draft pick out of Penn State. He kind of, not in any bad way, he's like, I got you. Boom, he took another rep, and I'm like, for a guy who's
Wrestled?
No. He played 5 years in the league with the Washington Commanders.
Oh.
So I'm looking at him, and listen, I have no idea if he gets, based on what I saw, he was kind of aggressive. He's a smaller player. Again, he's 5'9", 196. But he was, and I'm watching him, and I'm thinking, man, to take a tryout contract.
There's some humble pie.
It's a guy who wants to play,
Yeah.
and he's looking. These are the kind of guys that need to show something that maybe they get invited. Maybe first of all, they find out pretty quickly whether they're going to be back here for OTAs. Then they find out, because then they have to have a contract of some sort, and then they find out, obviously, if they keep working.
Yeah.
But when you see guys like that, I find that something. I'm like, dude's been in the league, he's played, he's been around, and he's here with a bunch of kids, and he is third man on the totem pole. You got draft picks, and you can talk about that pecking order. Then you got their signed free agents.
Yeah.
And then you got the tryout guys.
Gotta love football.
It is. They love football. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us today because it's rookie minicamp. It's interesting to see, but it's hard to make any long-term conclusions. Though Dan did give an A+ on day one.
Plus.
Plus on Buffalo plus.
There it is.
That's it. How to make that work. It's nice to be back in here, ready for the season.
Last one's in here, just working hard. No big
That's
deal.
it. That's what Buffalo Plus does. Jenna, let's just admit it. She's on vacation all week.
Still vacation.
Man.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. She just goes. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Dan Fates and the vacationing Jenna Cottrell, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching Buffalo Plus.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.